Miss Andy is a landmark work in the genre of transgender films in the Chinese language and even in South Asian. In Malaysia, where film censorship is strict and the social norms are consistent, this film is the second feature-length narrative film in its history to feature transgender as the main subject, and it is also the first Chinese-language transgender film. Therefore, it is not merely other transgender scene film. Rather, it represents a courageous and rather form of virtual practice and experience within a respective nation and cultural context. Miss Andy tells the story of Andy, a middle-aged transgender woman who, after the death of her wife, decided to live authentically. However, this decision leads to her being abandoned by her children and losing her job, eventually rendering her social outcast. In her loneliness and her helplessness, she befriends Tech, a well-intentioned, caring-inspired co-worker, and Sophia, an undocumented Vietnamese migrant worker who fled victimizes violence along with her son. Those four individuals are marginalized by mainstream society from a temporary, non-biologic family relying on each other for warmth in a cold world. Through this band, Andy rediscovers hope of a sense of home. Yet, this utopia built on fragile, foundational, ultimately crisis. Track and Sophia elope with her lottery ticket Andy unexpected wings, leaving her alone once again to face the profounder betrayal of Rick and the complete shattering of her hopes. Teddy Sim, Malaysia Chinese director, screenwriter, and actor, graduated from the New York Film Academy. He made such an assessment of his first work. What I want to tell you is a story about people, those souls who are on the fringes of society but still strive to seek light and warmth. The uniqueness of Miss Andy lies in the fact that it's not merely a simple story of identity, vagueness, but rather than a film that explores the political aspects of transgender lives under the dual constraints of heterosexual norms and the state apparatus. It addressed the core issues of body, violence, and disposability in transgender studies. Within the framework of transgender films, the value of this film lies in radical use strategically technique to present transgender as a social existence rather than merely an internal identity. Through Andy's daily life, her job, family relationship, economy struggle, and her longing for small-scale equality, the film systematically revels how the social strategy jointly act to produce a systematic inclusion, a daily violence against transgender, marginalized subjects. Therefore, Andy's story goes beyond a personal tragedy and becomes an excellent case for us to discuss transgender life political, how her body and life struggle to survive under the judgment of being assigned an extremely low social value, and how her desire and emotion in mutual assistance with other marginalized people contrast a fragile, informal survive network. This film forces us to ask, beyond the mainstream actionlessness, right narrative, can and how can transgender films recover to trace of dignity, struggle, and righteousness of those lives that cannot or do not want to indirectly into the normative life. Now, let's move on to the first dramatic conflict scenes in the film. This is also the scenes that I will be analyzing.
You 下面还没做。你嫌弃我是吗？你嫌弃我是吗？操你妈！死人妖！死人妖！先不要！
Bisiklet saya kau ni nak. Diam. Diam. Masuk. Diam. Diam. Kau ni gila dah. Kau ni bisiklet saya kenapa ah? Masuk. Kau ni kenapa ah? Tapi mana? Tak salah. Jangan dia. Jangan. Jalan. Diam. Diam. Bisiklet saya dah. Jalan.
Okey, apa jadi dekat lorong tadi? Gaduh. Ni girlfriend kau ke? Ni, apa hal ni?
Boy, jangan salah faham. Saya seorang cikgu tuition. Saya langsung tak kenal dia. Tadi Ponda ini dia buka baju depan saya, main seksi-seksi. Dia nak lompat duit saya.
Hey.
Tengok tuan, Ponda ini ganas lah. Saya guna pisau ini untuk self-defense aja.
Andy Ho Yu Ming. Kau lelaki ke perempuan? Apa pasal pakai baju perempuan? Kau pelacur Aku tanya jawab lah. Kau pekak ke apa? Ha? Kau rompak apa? Kurang hajar ambil pondan ni. Amirul, kau bawa pondan ni pergi body check 100%. Oh Andy, keluar cepat. Body check. Cepat. Tangan kasih turun. Tangan turun. Tangan turun. Underwear down.
Baik dia.
There is no doubt that this segment illustrates the core issue of body, violence, and disposability in transgender studies. We always feel that the police were the real enemy. We accepted nothing better than to be treated like an animal, and we are. In Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, the actor clearly states that the police have never been on the side of justice in the struggle. Instead, many times they are on the perpetrator, returning to the scenes I wanted to analyze. The words of even nothing are equal or perplexing here. This directly straight to the top of this sense. Andy is not facing her feel bad police officer, but rather than the police themselves, as the system of the sexed violence. Their humanity, indifference, and the procedural violence are the normal from the system towards gender non-determinants. And this police experience is the one of the system chain of systematic violence. This complex training process includes her possible encounters on the street, being taken off the police station for interrogation and search, the legal procedure within the police station, search, photographic, and the direct violence on the street together constitute the complex means the state control over the gender body. There have been countless such extremely harsh and ugly examples in history. In Year Nothing's article, Stott has to face not only humiliation but more violence that occurs in the dark of the present. Unfortunately, both of there are the deprivation of self-awareness and the rights of transgender people. Imagine if the police, who are supposed to protect all and maintain justice, could deprivation of humanity other based on the world of just one person claiming to be teacher and seemingly having a clear gender identity. In the movie, if we are to using an objective to represent Andy's hope, it will be undoubtedly to be Lotto, that appears multiple times in the film. I don't think the Lotto in the movie holds only economic hope for Andy. Rather, it represents everything. From Andy's introduction, we learned that she often buys Lotto, and each time she selected the same numbers. This is not only simple numbers, it's the birthday of her wife and children. For Andy, after losing her wife, she regrets her self-awareness and decides to become a woman. But her son and daughter unfortunately didn't understand. They couldn't understand why their father would be such a change. However, Andy, the innocence of a woman, is wrapped in a man's body. The long-term separation and disgust felt like a big feet stuck in a small shoes. And then she chose to remove the disguise and release herself. When she found her true self, she knew actually what she future would be like. All the misfortune, sadness, and unhappiness were entered silently by her, but she never regretted it. More often, she enjoyed it, the small detail of life, wearing a beautiful dress, applying a gorgeous makeup, having her children call her auntie, robbing men through a woman's perspective, and treating her life and people around her maternal, delicate emotion. All those made her feel comfortable and happy.